Good evening, everyone. Today, I want to talk about a concept that's so simple yet so transformative: putting God first. Success is often defined by achievements, wealth, and recognition. People spend their entire lives chasing these things, believing that once they reach a certain level, they will finally feel fulfilled. But how often do we see people who have everything on the outside yet still feel empty inside? They've climbed the ladder, but it's leaning against the wrong wall. The reason? Their dreams are not aligned with a higher purpose. When you align your dreams with a higher purpose, everything changes. It's no longer just about what you want to accomplish, it's about what you were created for. There's a big difference between chasing success for your own satisfaction and walking in a purpose that impacts others. When your dreams are aligned with something greater than yourself, they take on new meaning. You stop working for external validation and start working for something eternal. Most people are conditioned to believe that success is measured in numbers: show much money you make, how many people know your name, how many awards you've won. But true success isn't about what you accumulate. It's about who you become and how you serve. A dream that is self-centered will always leave you feeling like something is missing. But when your dream is rooted in a higher calling, it fuels you in a way that nothing else can. The world teaches us to set goals based on what we think will make us happy, but happiness is temporary. Purpose is eternal. When you align your dreams with a higher purpose, you wake up every day with a sense of direction that goes beyond personal gain. You don't just work for money, you work to make an impact. You don't just build a business, you build a legacy. You don't just chase success, you create significance. One of the biggest reasons people feel unfulfilled is that they're chasing goals that were never meant for them. They look at what society values, what others have, and they set their ambitions based on comparison rather than calling. But when you seek alignment with a higher purpose, you stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, what was I created to do? That shift changes everything. It takes you from stress to peace, from frustration to fulfillment. Aligning your dreams with a higher purpose doesn't mean you stop dreaming big. It means you dream differently. It means your vision is not just about personal gain, but about contributing to something greater than yourself. It means that your success is not just measured by what you achieve, but by the lives you impact. Many people fear that putting God first means giving up their ambitions, but it's the opposite. When you align your dreams with a higher calling, you gain clarity, energy, and motivation that far exceed anything you could generate on your own. You start to realize that your talents, your passions, and even your struggles are all connected to a bigger picture. Nothing in your life is random. Everything you've been through, everything you've learned, and everything you're drawn to has a purpose. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of personal achievement, thinking that once you reach a certain milestone, you'll finally feel complete. But without alignment, every achievement feels like just another step on an endless ladder. The joy is short-lived, the satisfaction fades, and soon you're left searching for the next big thing. But when your dreams are aligned with a higher purpose, there is no emptiness, no lack, no need to constantly chase. You move with intention, with confidence, and with peace. People often talk about passion as the key to success, but passion alone isn't enough. You need purpose. Passion will get you excited. Purpose will keep you going. Passion can fade when things get tough, but purpose gives you resilience. When your dreams are aligned with a higher purpose, challenges don't break you, they build you. You see setbacks as setups, failures as lessons, and obstacles as part of the journey. There's a reason why so many people who seem to have it all still feel like something is missing. It's because they are not aligned. They are chasing a version of success that was never meant for them. But when you seek first a higher purpose, everything else falls into place. Your work becomes more meaningful, your relationships become deeper, and your life becomes a reflection of something greater than yourself. In the constant noise of life, there is a voice that often gets drowned out. It's not the loudest, it doesn't force itself upon you, and it won't compete with the distractions that consume your time. It's the divine whisper, always present, always guiding, always calling you towards something greater. The problem is most people never stop long enough to hear it. They are too busy, too preoccupied, too consumed by the demands of daily life to recognize that God is speaking to them in ways both big and small. This whisper doesn't come with flashing lights or grand gestures. It isn't always a booming revelation. Sometimes it's just a feeling deep inside, a nudge in your spirit, a moment of clarity that you can't explain. It's that sense of peace when you make the right decision, that discomfort when you're headed in the wrong direction, that knowing inside you that refuses to be ignored. But too often, people dismiss it. They write it off as coincidence, ignore it in favor of logic, or drown it out with distractions. God is always speaking, but are you listening? The challenge is that listening requires stillness, and stillness is something most people struggle with. Society glorifies busyness. People wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. They fill every waking moment with tasks, commitments, and endless scrolling, leaving no room for reflection, no space for connection. They want guidance, they want answers, but they never slow down enough to receive them. Listening to the divine whisper is not about waiting for some dramatic moment where everything suddenly makes sense. It's about cultivating an awareness that allows you to recognize when you are being led. It's about tuning in to the signs that are always there, the doors that open, the doors that close, the way certain people or opportunities cross your path at just the right time. It's about paying attention to the small confirmations, the moments of unexplainable peace, the way everything aligns when you are walking in the right direction. But listening also requires trust. Many times people hear the whisper but hesitate because it doesn't always make sense in the moment. The path it points to might not be the most logical, the safest, or the most comfortable. It might ask you to step into the unknown, to take a leap of faith when you'd rather have certainty. It might tell you to walk away from something that looks good on the surface but is not meant for you. It might ask you to be patient when you want to move when you want to stay still, to take a different path than the one you had planned. Trusting that whisper means believing that God sees what you cannot see, that He knows what is ahead even when you don't. It means understanding that just because you don't have all the answers doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. The divine whisper doesn't give you the entire roadmap, it gives you the next step. It requires faith, obedience, and a willingness to move forward, even when you can't see the whole picture. Sometimes the whisper comes in the form of conviction, a deep sense that you need to change something in your life. It might be a habit, a mindset, a relationship, or an environment that is no longer serving your growth. You might feel it in moments of discomfort, those times when you know in your heart that you're not where you're supposed to be. That discomfort isn't there to punish you, it's there to guide you. It's a signal that there is something more for you, that you are meant for something greater, that it's time to realign. Other times the whisper comes in moments of stillness when you finally pause long enough to reflect. It's in the quiet moments of prayer, in the peace that comes after surrender, in the clarity that follows a decision made in faith. It's in the unexpected moments when everything suddenly clicks, when you know without a doubt that you are on the right path. The world is full of noise, distractions, opinions, doubts, fears. But the whisper remains steady, unwavering, always waiting for you to listen. When you learn to recognize it, when you choose to trust it, when you allow it to lead you, your life begins to shift. You start to move with purpose, with confidence, with an unshakable sense of direction that no external circumstance can take away. Ego is one of the greatest barriers between where you are and where you are meant to be. It convinces you that you have to do everything on your own, that your strength alone is enough, that seeking divine guidance is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, the more you try to control everything, the more exhausted you become. The more you rely on yourself alone, the more you feel the weight of uncertainty, pressure, and fear. Surrendering your ego is not about giving up, it's about letting go of the illusion that you are in control of everything and trusting that there is a greater plan at work. Ego thrives on validation. It wants recognition, praise, and proof of success. It wants to be seen as the one who figured it all out, who made it happen, who overcame everything without help. But when you put God first, you no longer seek approval from people. You no longer need to prove your worth through external achievements. You realize that your value is not in what you accomplish, but in who you are becoming. When you surrender your ego, you release the pressure to always have the answers, to always be right, to always be in control. You begin to move with faith instead of fear, humility instead of pride, trust instead of anxiety. The hardest part of surrender is that it requires you to let go of what feels comfortable. The ego loves predictability, familiarity, and the illusion of certainty. It resists change because change feels like losing control. But when you trust in God's plan, you understand that not every door that closes is a failure. Not every setback is a defeat. Not every unanswered prayer is a rejection. Sometimes what feels like a loss is actually protection. Sometimes what seems like a delay is actually divine timing. When you surrender your ego, you stop fighting against the process and start flowing with it. You learn to trust that every step, every challenge, every redirection is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. Letting go of ego also means letting go of comparison. The ego constantly looks around, measuring itself against others, trying to prove it is ahead, successful, worthy. It convinces you that you should be further along, that someone else's journey determines the value of your own. But when you align with God's purpose, you stop competing for validation. You understand that your journey is unique, that your timing is different, that your path is not meant to look like anyone else's. You realize that success is not about being better than someone else, it's about being obedient to the calling placed on your life. Fear is another way the ego holds you back. It makes you believe that if you surrender, you will lose control. It tells you that if you let go of your plans, you might end up with less. But when you put God first, you realize that surrender does not lead to lack, it leads to abundance. Surrendering your ego means recognizing that your vision is limited, but God's vision is infinite. It means understanding that your strength is finite, but God's strength is limitless. It means knowing that when you stop forcing your way and start trusting His way, things begin to align in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. Ego also keeps you from asking for help. It makes you believe that admitting weakness, failure, that seeking guidance is a sign of incompetence. But the strongest people are not those who pretend to have it all together. They are the ones who know when to lean on something greater than themselves. They are the ones who understand that true wisdom comes from humility, that real strength comes from surrender, that true success is built not on pride, but on faith. The moment you release the need to control every outcome, the moment you stop operating from fear, the moment you let go of the pressure to be everything for everyone, you create for something greater. You create room for divine intervention, for clarity, for peace. You step into a life that is not just driven by ambition, but guided by purpose. You begin to experience the kind of success that is not just measured by accomplishments, but by the depth of your faith, the strength of your character, and the impact you make on the world around you. Making God the foundation of your life is not a one-time decision. It is a daily commitment. It is a conscious choice to prioritize faith over fear, purpose over distractions, and alignment over ambition. Too often, people treat their relationship with God as something they turn to only in times of crisis. They pray when things fall apart, seek guidance when they are lost, and ask for strength when they feel weak. But putting God first is not about convenience, it is about consistency. It is about making faith a way of life rather than a last resort. Every single day presents a choice. The world pulls you in 100 different directions, demanding your attention, your energy, your focus. There are deadlines, obligations, responsibilities, and distractions. It is easy to wake up and immediately get lost in the noise of life, checking your phone, rushing to work, reacting to problems, chasing after success. But what if, before anything else, you took a moment to realign? What if, instead of starting the day consumed by stress, you started it with faith? What if, before making decisions, you sought wisdom beyond your own? What if, instead of relying solely on your strength, you tapped into a source of power that never runs out? A daily commitment to putting God first means beginning each day with intentionality. It means setting aside time to pray, to reflect, to seek guidance before stepping into the world. It means recognizing that no matter how talented, skilled, or driven you are, there is a limit to what you can achieve on your own. It means acknowledging that real clarity, real wisdom, and real peace come not from external success, but from internal alignment. The challenge is that commitment requires discipline. It is easy to get distracted, to put off spiritual growth for another day, to tell yourself that you will focus on faith once you have more time. But the truth is, there will never be a perfect time. Life will always be busy, problems will always arise, and distractions will always be present. That is why making God a priority has to be intentional. It has to be a non-negotiable, not something that happens only when it is convenient. A daily commitment to putting God first also means making decisions that reflect faith over fear. Too often, people hesitate to take action because they are waiting for absolute certainty. They let fear keep them stuck, questioning whether they have what it takes, whether they are making the right move, whether things will work out. But faith requires trust. It requires stepping forward even when you cannot see the full picture. It means believing that if you are aligned with a higher purpose, you will always be guided in the right direction. It means knowing that even if you make mistakes, you are never beyond redemption, never too far off course to be realigned. This commitment is not just about personal faith. It is about how you show up in the world. It influences the way you treat people, the way you handle challenges, the way you lead, the way you serve. It means operating with integrity, making choices that align with your values, and refusing to compromise your principles for temporary gains. It means recognizing that success is not just about what you achieve, but about who you become in the process. Some days will be harder than others. There will be moments of doubt, times when things do not make sense, seasons when it feels like nothing is going your way. But that is when commitment matters most. Faith is not tested when everything is easy. It is tested when you are faced with uncertainty, when things take longer than expected, when you feel like giving up. That is when the decision to put God first has to be stronger than the temptation to rely on your own understanding. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every transformation begins with a foundation that is built on something greater than personal ambition. It begins with a commitment to stay aligned, to stay faithful, to trust that there is a purpose in every step of the journey. It is a choice that must be made daily, not just when things are falling apart, but when things are going well. Because true success is not just about reaching a destination. It is about walking the path with faith, with purpose, and with the unwavering belief that you are never alone. Life is full of challenges. No matter who you are, where you come from, or what you have achieved, you will face obstacles that test your strength, your faith, and your ability to keep going. Some challenges will be small, frustrating inconveniences, while others will feel like mountains too high to climb. The difference between those who rise above and those who crumble is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is the ability to find strength in faith. It is the ability to believe, even in the darkest moments, that there is a purpose for the struggle, a lesson in the hardship, and a breakthrough on the other side. Faith is the foundation that keeps you standing when everything around you feels unstable. It is easy to have confidence when things are going well, when doors are opening, when success is flowing effortlessly. But true faith is built in the moments when nothing makes sense, when the path ahead is unclear, when the weight of uncertainty feels unbearable. Those moments are not meant to break you. They are meant to build you. They are meant to strengthen your trust in something greater than yourself, to remind you that you are never alone, and to teach you that even when you do not understand the plan, you can trust the one who created it. Finding strength in faith does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that everything is fine when it is not. It does not mean denying pain or acting like challenges do not exist. It means facing those challenges with the unshakable belief that they do not have the power to define or defeat you. It means recognizing that adversity is not the end of the road, it is part of the process. It means understanding that growth does not happen in comfort, but in the moments when you are stretched, tested, and refined. The world teaches people to rely on their own strength, to push through challenges with sheer willpower, to grind until they succeed, but there comes a point where human strength is not enough. There comes a moment when the weight is too heavy, when the answers are not clear, when the situation is beyond what you can control. That is when faith becomes your greatest asset. That is when surrendering your burdens to God allows you to access a strength that goes beyond your own abilities. People often think that having faith means the road will be easy, that if they just believe, everything will fall into place without difficulty. But faith is not a shortcut to success, nor is it an escape from hardship. Faith is what carries you through the hardship. It is what keeps you moving when you feel like stopping. It is what gives you peace in the middle of chaos, confidence in the face of fear, and resilience when life tries to knock you down. Faith does not promise a life without obstacles, but it does promise that those obstacles will never be bigger than the God who walks with you. When challenges come, most people's first instinct is to ask, why is this happening to me? But a faith-driven mindset shifts that question to, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of seeing setbacks as punishment, faith allows you to see them as preparation. Instead of viewing obstacles as signs to quit, faith gives you the ability to see them as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to strengthen your character. Every great achievement, every moment of breakthrough, every story of success is built on a foundation of perseverance through struggle. Faith is what allows you to keep believing in your dreams even when the evidence around you suggests otherwise. It is what keeps you standing when life tries to shake you. It is what gives you the courage to take the next step, even when you do not see the full staircase. It is the anchor that keeps you grounded in the storm, the light that guides you when everything feels dark, and the fire that keeps burning inside you no matter how many times life tries to extinguish it. There will be moments when fear tries to take over, when doubt creeps in, when everything in you wants to give up. But that is when faith must be stronger than fear. That is when you have to remind yourself that the same God who brought you through past challenges will bring you through this one. That is when you have to trust that no matter how impossible things seem, nothing is beyond the power of faith. The company you keep has the power to shape your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. Who you surround yourself with influences the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you show up in the world. You can have the strongest vision, the deepest faith, and the biggest dreams, but if you are constantly surrounded by negativity, doubt, and small-minded thinking, it will begin to affect you. Energy is contagious. The people you spend the most time with are either pushing you closer to your purpose or pulling you away from it. If you want to put God first in your life, you have to be intentional about the relationships you cultivate. Not everyone is meant to walk with you on your journey. Some people are distractions, some are detours, some are roadblocks. They may not have bad intentions, but their presence in your life may be keeping you from stepping fully into what you are called to do. It is not about looking down on others, it is about recognizing when someone's mindset, values, or habits are not aligned with where you're going. Surrounding yourself with faith-driven, purpose-minded people elevates your thinking. It challenges you to operate at a higher level, to stay accountable, and to remain strong in your beliefs even when life gets difficult. When you are surrounded by people who remind you of what is possible, who push you to grow, who encourage you to stay on the right path, you start to see yourself differently. You start to believe in your potential at a deeper level. You start to recognize that you were never meant to do life alone. The wrong environment can suffocate your growth. It can plant seeds of doubt where faith is supposed to be. It can keep you playing small when you are meant to rise. If you are constantly surrounded by people who complain, make excuses, and refuse to grow, it will be difficult for you to break out of that cycle. But when you align yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who walk in faith rather than fear, your mindset shifts. You start to see possibilities instead of limitations. You start to speak life over your circumstances rather than focusing on what is wrong. This does not mean cutting people off just because they are struggling. It means being intentional about who has access to your energy, your time, and your heart. There are people who drain you, who bring chaos into your life, who do not want to see you succeed because it forces them to confront their own limitations. And then there are people who pour into you, who lift you up, who remind you of the greatness inside of you even when you do not see it yourself. Choose wisely. A strong support system is not just about having people who celebrate your wins, it is about having people who hold you accountable. People who tell you the truth even when it is uncomfortable. People who challenge you to stay on the path when distractions arise. People who remind you to keep God at the center of your decisions rather than letting fear dictate your actions. The right people will not just hype you up, they will help you grow. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they can keep the same circle and still reach new levels. Growth requires change. Elevation requires separation. There will be times when you outgrow relationships, and that is not something to feel guilty about. It is a natural part of the journey. When you are serious about living with purpose, some friendships will fade, some relationships will shift, and some connections will no longer feel aligned. That is not rejection, it is redirection. God will place the right people in your life at the right time. But you have to be willing to let go of what is holding you back. You have to be willing to walk away from environments that keep you stagnant. You have to be willing to trust that when you surround yourself with people who push you toward your purpose, you will always be supported in ways that go beyond what you could do alone. When you put God first in your life, everything changes. It's not just about going through the motions or turning to Him in times of crisis. It's about making Him the foundation of everything you do, every decision you make, and every relationship you cultivate. Putting God first means aligning yourself with His purpose, trusting His plan, and surrendering your ego, your fears, and your doubts. It's about recognizing that you are not alone on this journey and that with faith, anything is possible. But faith requires action. It's not enough to simply believe. It requires commitment, discipline, and a daily choice to seek God's guidance over your own understanding. It means cultivating an environment of growth, surrounding yourself with people who elevate you and challenge you to live in alignment with your purpose. It means embracing the challenges, the setbacks, and the obstacles as opportunities to grow stronger in your faith. The road won't always be easy, but when you put God first, you tap into a power greater than anything you could accomplish on your own. You begin to see possibilities where others see obstacles. You rise above fear, doubt, and negativity, moving forward with purpose and unwavering trust. Every step, every decision, every moment becomes an opportunity to fulfill the calling placed on your life. And with God leading the way, there is nothing that can stand in your path.